So yeah, that is the best overall strategy to play this event to maximize the amount of huge pets, Titanics, and just everything that you can get from this event. Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to another Pet Sim 99 video. Today we have part 2 of the Gym Simulator update. I'm going to go over everything they added, everything you need to know about this update, as well as all the best tips and tricks for this update. And then I'll be showing you how you can make the absolute most of this event, giving yourself the best chance of getting some huge pets, some Titanics, and maybe even getting on the leaderboard. I'll just be going over everything you need to know about this event to hopefully get yourself some Titanics and huges before this event is over. With that being said, if you enjoy this video or find it useful, don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget that once we reach 45,000 subscribers, we'll be hosting a massive 50+ rainbow huge pet giveaway on Pet Sim 99, including 10 signed rainbow huge pets. However, I do give away at least 10 rainbow huge pets every single Pet Sim 99 video, so if you want a chance to win one of those huge pets, all of the giveaway information will be in the description. Let's go ahead and get straight into the video. All right, so today we got the new Gym Simulator Part 2 update, and honestly, let me just say right off the bat, I think this update is not too bad. I really enjoyed Part 1. It was pretty fun to participate in the clan battle and also fight your way up to the leaderboard because the pet was untradeable and it made it really fun. And it's looking like this week is going to be the same with a little more features, so it looks like it's not going to be too bad, and you can earn yourself a ton of profit because just by AFK hatching and then AFK playing the race for a little bit last week, I managed to get myself a Titanic Gym Shark, and I also managed to get myself a golden Titanic Gym Piggy, literally just from AFKing the race last week. So because of how similar this update is to last week, I think this update's going to be really good. But let's go ahead and get into everything they added first, and then I'll get into all the tips and tricks I have to hopefully help you make the most out of this update and get yourself easily a couple huges before this event is over, as well as maybe even a Titanic and possibly even a free-to-play Gargantuan. All right, so obviously we have a new update for the gym world. So go ahead and go into the gym world. You'll notice that there are 2 new areas. Just like in week 1, all you have to do is build up some strength, rebirth 5 times in each area, go to the next area, possibly buy some pets, and keep going until you make it to the last area. It does not take long. Literally, you're just building up strength, rebirthing, and then you'll make it to the last area in probably a couple of minutes. Once you make it here, you'll notice that the muscle race is still here. This works literally the same as last week. I'll talk about the best strategy for this for leaderboard and for just overall rewards, because you'll want to have 2 different setups. But they did refresh the Titanic, the huge, and the gift that you get from this, and this gift looks a lot more appealing than last week's, not only because it looks pretty easy to get with already 250,000 in existence, but you can also get yourself some of the new gym boosts inside of this gift, which will make this gift a lot more profitable. So I think I will be opening quite a few of these gift bags pretty soon, so watch out for a video on that just to see how profitable those gift bags actually are besides the muscle race. Let's head back to the first area here, and you might have noticed there is a daily quest thing. Just like in the basketball update, you can complete a quest every single day and get everything from boosts to hoverboards to booths, etc. Just a bunch of random items. Not too bad, honestly. Just for doing day 1, you can literally get yourself 18 million gems right now. Pretty good. That's basically 2 huge pets. If you're free to play, that's kind of insane. And then we also have obviously our gym upgrades. This works the exact same as last week. They just changed the item that you use to upgrade to weight plates instead. But you literally have to AFK for maybe 30 minutes inside the muscle race using the reward setup that I'll show you in a little bit. And you'll easily earn yourself enough weight plates to max out every single upgrade here, including the final egg upgrade, which once maxed out will allow you to get the best stat pets inside of this egg, which are obviously going to be incredibly important for this update, especially if you're going for a leaderboard position. However, speaking of the leaderboard, we have a new leaderboard here. It's literally the same as last week. All you need to get is a really good run in the muscle race, which I'll talk about how you could do that in a little bit. It's mostly luck and just persistence. You have to AFK and just hope you get lucky. But because the buff tiger, which is the best stat pet, is also untradeable just like last week, and it has the exact same odds of the dragon from last week, which was also the best stat pet, literally all you have to do is AFK hatch this egg for a little bit, get that, and then you'll have a really good chance at getting on the leaderboard at the end of that event. I mean, I barely tried last week. All I did was AFK for maybe like a day or so throughout the entire week, and I got myself a Titanic Gym Shark pretty easily. That being said, the last huge thing they added here inside the actual event itself is going to be the bench A Gargantuan. This is where you have a chance to get a new free-to-play Gargantuan pet. Now, this is very similar to the Millionaire Race. If you played that event from like 6 or 7 months ago, it was a very long time ago. Basically, you have a certain amount of tries that you can do every single day. And once you enter inside of this area here, it's literally the Millionaire Race, but instead of doors, there's different bench presses. Basically, you start off at bench 1 and you keep going. And based on your strength, so this one's a recommendation recommended 32 strength. That'll decide how much of a chance you have at actually passing this level. So obviously 32 strength is really easy, so I'll pass that. Then it spikes up to 8 million here, so it's a little harder, and it keeps going and keeps going. So the more strength you have, the better chance you'll have at actually getting through a bunch of these benches, eventually maybe getting yourself a couple of huge pets. The huge gym scorpion doesn't seem too hard to get, but then you also do have a chance of getting a couple Titanics with obviously different variants over here. And then if you're really lucky, you can have a chance at getting a Gargantuan Dark Dragon. But just like the millionaire race, making it to the last few benches here is probably going to be like 1 in a couple 100,000 chance. So your odds of getting that is not too great. So I'd probably just be a little conservative, maybe get to like a golden or rainbow huge, and then that would be the most I would go for. But this is also where you can get the new muscle helixes. This is literally the only place you can get this currency. And with this currency, you can use it in the second last area here on the gym skill upgrades. Now you can only use 1,000 of this muscle helix at a time. So there's going to be a lot of strategy when it comes to the gym skill upgrades. I'll talk about this in a little bit when it comes to totally maxing out your strength and trying to get a really good score on the leaderboard. However, as you can see, once you use your helixes, it'll give you the boost for the certain thing that you choose. And then you can only use up to 1,000 helixes. So it's going to take a bit of testing to figure out what is the best possible setup for this machine. But this is going to be pretty important for specifically the leaderboard. And then they added in a new merch shop. Nothing much to see here. You can just buy merch in-game now, just like you could buy on the Big Games website. And it comes with obviously the DLCs that are included. So like a diamond orb, huge demon, or huge hoverboard dog. And then there are a couple changes to the exclusive shop. We have a new buff gym egg. Do not buy this. It doesn't even give you the best stat pet. Don't think it's worth it at all because you're going to have to hatch the best stat pet to get on leaderboard. And then like I said before, there are 2 new gym boosts, and you can also get these from the forever pack, but it doesn't seem too hard to get from the gift. So I would not be buying the forever pack just for those boosts. And that is all they added to the exclusive shop. Besides that, there was also 5 new areas in the fantasy world, as well as a new fantasy huge pet and some new fantasy stat pets. But honestly, with updates like this, I find the fantasy world very boring. That's literally all they did to the fantasy world. All right, so there's a lot of stuff in this update, so you might be wondering how exactly you should play this update to maximize the amount of stuff you're getting by the end of this event, and that is exactly what I am here to tell you. So this update is very similar to last week, and by playing last week's event, like I said, I managed to get myself a couple of Titanics, as well as a ton of huge pets. I haven't even traded them over from my other accounts yet, and a ton of gifts, etc. And this week, it's pretty much the same. So for this event, a lot of it you can do AFK, but the best way to AFK for the first few days is not going to be even focusing on the leaderboard at all. Don't even look at the leaderboard. You do not have to work on the leaderboard until around Thursday or Friday, because that's the best time when all of the event huge pets are at their lowest value, as well as eventually you'll hopefully have a rainbow tiger, which is really important for leaderboard. Don't even focus on leaderboard. You do not have to worry about your strength at all until Thursday or Friday. But in the meantime, in order to get the most amount of huge pets, most amount of gifts, the best chance of getting some Titanics, I would recommend you go ahead and obviously take advantage of your daily bench a Gargantuan mini game. This mini game is literally all RNG, but you can have a pretty good chance of getting some huge pets, and you also want to make sure you get at least 1,000 muscle helixes before Thursday or Friday, because you'll need those. So play that every single day. Try to get some good rewards and some muscle helixes. When you're not actively playing the bench a Gargantuan, you can spend the rest of the time AFKing, but you want to split up your AFKing between 2 different things. So I would spend half of your time AFKing the muscle race and half of your time AFKing the egg until you hatch yourself a rainbow tiger. Now the rainbow tiger, like I said, has the same odds of the rainbow dragon last week. There ended up being 5,000 rainbow dragons in existence, so it's going to have around the same at the end of this event, meaning you're going to be competing with probably 3,000 or 4,000 people to get on the first 2,000 spots on leaderboard. So you need to make sure you have a rainbow tiger, or you're not going to even have a chance at getting on leaderboard, meaning you want to hatch a ton within the first few days. But obviously you're not going to have infinite coins. So when you don't have a couple billion coins to hatch, or once you finally hatch a rainbow tiger, you're going to spend the rest of your time AFKing the muscle race using the best reward AFK strategy. This involves not even focusing on your team or your strength at all. Instead, you can simply AFK the gym using the auto function and this gym setting right here, strength to 100%. Now, before you get thrown off by this, like I said, we're not going for strength at the moment. The first few days are just going to be AFK rewards, which means you want to focus on getting the health bar down as fast as possible, because that is going to give you the most amount of races completed every single hour, and obviously the best chance at getting the most amount of gifts, huge pets, and Titanics. And if you didn't know, stamina does like maybe 1 or 2 damage every time you do a hit right here. Critical does around like 3 to 4 damage every hit, but strength does the most damage every hit, and these damages do not change at all depending on whatever you're doing. So to get the health bar down as fast as possible and earn yourself the most amount of rewards while you're AFKing, you literally just want to only use strength in your auto, because it's going to get the health bar down as fast as possible. So in the first few days for this event, up until Thursday or Friday, what you're going to be doing is taking advantage of the bench of Gargantuan every single day to hopefully get at least 1,000 of the new helixes and some other rewards, and then spending the rest of your time AFKing the egg until you hatch yourself a rainbow tiger or until you run out of coins, which at that point you can AFK the race for a couple hours using the reward setup, which is literally just setting the strength amount to 100% and then using the auto function. Once again, your team literally does not matter at all because we're not focusing on a leaderboard position for the first few days. Now, obviously, as you're hatching, give yourself the best chance of getting a rainbow tiger throughout the event. Make sure you are using some lucky egg 10 book. I'd like to use at least 5. The threshold is, I think, 3, but even after the threshold, every book does help contribute slightly to the luck, but obviously it's not going to be 160%. So I like to use 5 lucky 10 books, as well as some other things that are going to help me get variants, specifically just shiny hunters and super shiny hunters. I don't really use rainbow eggs because even during the last event, I was able to hatch the rainbow gym dragon, which is the exact same chance only after a couple of days on basically all my accounts. So it's not going to be too hard to get the rainbow gym tiger. But if you are worried about that, you could go ahead and get a rainbow egg book and you'll have a much better chance of getting a rainbow gym tiger. But also make sure you're using some lucky egg potions, as well as some cocktail 1s, maybe even cocktail 2s, and then maybe even some glitched drives, but those are pretty expensive. But that's all going to help you increase your luck and limit the amount of time you're going to have to spend actually hatching, and maximize the amount of time you can spend in the race getting a ton of rewards until Thursday or Friday, when you can still spend time in the race, but you're going to want to more focus on your leaderboard position if you are trying to get on leaderboard. Now, before I go over what you should do in the last few days to get on leaderboard, it's time to quickly check my mailbox. If you want to donate to me using the mailbox, my username is loopedmuffin_RBX. I tend to only shout out anything over 5 million diamonds in wrap or any exclusive pets just to save time in the videos. Now, please do not send me anything to sign in the mailbox. I don't sign over mailbox just to prevent my mailbox being full of people asking for signs. Thank you very much, Chase, for the huge exquisite elephant. Thank you very much, Morris Edit, for the huge glitch unicorn ball, huge atomic monkey ball, and huge mining monkey. Thank you, Art, for the huge mining penguin. Thank you, Soccer, for the 10 million diamonds. Thank you, Biticle, for the huge gym shark. Thank you, Johnny, for the huge golden mining penguin. Thank you, Minecrafter, for the huge golden red wolf. You can give your inventory to someone else. I do really appreciate it, though. Thank you, HV God, for the golden shiny huge robot ball. Thank you. I think the wrap is super inflated, but thank you very much. That is incredibly generous. And thank you to everyone else who sent me mail. Once again, I had a lot of people asking for signs, but I don't do signs over the mailbox, so I sent all of that back. Okay, so now it's time to talk about actually going for leaderboard. Like I said before, you want to spend the first part of the week grinding the eggs and farming the muscle race. If you aren't going to go for leaderboard, you can just spend the whole time grinding the muscle race because it does give you a ton of rewards. But if you are going to be going for muscle race, hopefully it's Thursday or Friday that you're doing this, and hopefully you will have already hatched a rainbow gym tiger. If it's Thursday or Friday and you don't have a rainbow gym tiger, honestly, I would not go for leaderboard and just spend the rest of the time farming the muscle race. You could get lucky and hatch one, but you also do need a decent amount of time to actually get a good score because it is a lot of RNG involved. Now, you should also have 1,000 helixes, which is also going to be pretty important. And then if you have both of those, you're ready to start prepping for a really good run. Go ahead and mess with your gym skill upgrades. So currently there isn't really a refined values for this upgrade because no one's seriously trying to go for a leaderboard position right now. So I'd recommend on Thursday or Friday when you're doing this, go ahead, look on Discord, look on Twitter, look anywhere, try to find some decent values for the actual gym skill upgrades. But with that being said, depending on how much time you have left, that's going to decide how much you want to put into criticals, because that is completely RNG based. The more time you spend actually AFKing for a good score, the less important this critical boost is going to be. So I'd recommend if you have like over a day to actually go ahead and try to get a good leaderboard position, put very little to nothing into the critical boost and focus on the strength and the stamina. But this is something you're gonna have to test out yourself, unfortunately, or look around and find what people are actually using on Thursday and Friday for their scores. Besides that, obviously max out your gym upgrades. That takes like 30 minutes of AFKing the race. You'll easily be able to do that. And then you obviously have your rainbow tiger. So go ahead and fill the rest of your team with event huge pets from this update. The ones from last update don't do as much strength as the ones from this update, and normal huge pets also don't do as much as the ones from this update. So the gym cow is going to be the least expensive one. So go ahead and fill up your team with 14 huge gym cows. Variants, once again, do not matter. So you can use the normal one. And on Thursday and Friday, these are going to be pretty inexpensive. They're like 200 million right now, but they'll probably be around like 15 to 20 million each. So fill up your team with 14 of these, and then obviously your rainbow gym tiger. And besides that, when you're AFKing or going for your really good score, you also want to try to use these gym boosts. These are also pretty expensive right now, but they're dropping in value quite a bit, and they're not going to be worth nearly as much on Thursday and Friday, and those are going to be pretty important as well for going for a good run. Make sure you have those active. Make sure you get your hands on a few of those. And then lastly, if you can, take advantage of this breakable goal for the server strength. I think the strength is temporary every time you reach 10,000 breakables, but definitely go ahead and use your auto farm if you can, or just AFK in a public server where people will be actively breaking the breakable goals for you, or have a few friends join. Anything to have the breakable goals go off every once in a while, because that's going to increase your chance of getting a really good run. And then obviously you get 3% strength boost per friend, so try to have as many friends in your game as possible. And you can go ahead and get MVP for that even more strength boost. But personally, last week I didn't have MVP on a couple accounts, and they still managed to get top 2,000. So honestly, the MVP boost is not mandatory, especially if you're going to be spending a lot of time trying to get a really good score. But once you have all of that setup out of the way, it's time to AFK and get a really good score. Like I said, this is literally all RNG because you're trying to get as many critical hits as possible in one run. So the more amount of time you allow yourself to AFK for a good score, the more chance you'll actually have at getting a good score. So I'd recommend you start off with these gym settings right here when you're AFKing to get a good score. Once you get like a top 1500 or top 1000 leaderboard score, then maybe adjust the critical down to 4%, up the strength to 69%. That'll be a little more volatile, but if you do get a good score, it'll be slightly better than what it will be on these values that you see on screen right here. But you just want to use something similar to these values as you're AFKing, and using the auto function to get a really good score once you have all that other setup done. And that is going to secure yourself pretty much almost a guaranteed leaderboard position as long as you've got all that setup done around Thursday and Friday, and you spend like a day or so AFKing the muscle race with those settings. You should pretty much guarantee yourself a free to play Titanic, or at the very least, without a doubt, a free huge pet. With that being said, some of you might not be able to afford maybe the huge cows required, even though they'll be pretty inexpensive in a couple days, or the boost, or you might get unlucky and not hatch a rainbow tiger the entire time you're playing, but that's fine. You can just spend the rest of the time doing the muscle race if you don't think you're going to get a rainbow tiger, and still earn yourself a few huge pets and maybe even a Titanic just from the race itself. So yeah, that is the best overall strategy to play this event to maximize the amount of huge pets, Titanics, and just everything that you can get from this event, and hopefully get yourself on the leaderboard by the end of this week. Because honestly, as long as you're consistent and you do everything I said in this video, and you do manage to get the rainbow tiger, that's probably the hardest part, you should have a pretty much guaranteed leaderboard position and get yourself a pretty easy leaderboard Titanic, or at the very least probably a rainbow or golden huge. But with that all being said, that's basically everything they added in this update, as well as all my best tips and tricks for it. So if you enjoyed this video or found it useful, don't forget to like and subscribe. And don't forget that once we reach 45,000 subscribers, we'll be hosting a massive 50+ rainbow huge pet giveaway on Pet Sim 99. With that being said, I hope you all have an amazing day and good luck grinding. Congratulations to this user for being the first person to comment on my last Pet Sim 99 video with their Roblox username. You have won yourself a free rainbow huge pet. I do this kind of giveaways every single video, so if you want a chance to win yourself a free rainbow huge pet and be the first commenter, make sure to turn on post notifications to be notified when I upload. It's time to roll the winners of the giveaway from my last Pet Sim 99 video. Since this video did reach the first like goal of 500 likes, I will be adding an extra 5 rainbow huge pets to the giveaway for a total of 15 rainbow huge pets. As always, usernames of the winners will be shown on screen at the end of this time lapse. Congrats to all of the winners.